T-minus 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Booster ignition and liftoff.
Live from somewhere deep in the Freedom State of Florida, it's the Let's Be Frank Show with your host, Frank.
Hey, welcome back, everybody, for an morning stream, I guess. Morning, afternoon, lunch stream. Anyway, we are cutting in right into the voting of the Trump's big, beautiful bill. We're going to go ahead and maximize the volume here so you guys can listen as we kind of talk about what's going on here. So we will be doing these every Monday, Wednesday.
Mr. McConnell. No.
Friday. Monday, Wednesday, Fridays at 11 a.m. We'll be doing these streams. If there is any type of business happening in the Senate or the House or press conferences, we will tune in to check them out. This is the idea behind this stream. Then Tuesday, Thursday, Saturdays at 7 p.m. are the Freedom Streams where we recap the news of the day.
Mr. Scott of South Carolina, no.
And that's what we do. So right now they're debating the big, beautiful bill in the Senate. And we're going to see how this
Mr. Hoven, no.
How this vote goes. So as we are kind of waiting for as this roll call continues on, as they are voting at the moment. And then also we are streaming on Rumble as well. So hello to my Rumble people over watching on Rumble. Thanks for supporting.
This is Gillibrand, aye.
The Democrats are made a motion to continue debate, and this is what the vote is on right now.
Mr. Coons, aye.
So right now we're
Ms.
seeing
Collins, no.
Right now we're seeing this vote down party lines at the moment. As they are recording their votes right now. And that's what we are watching currently there in the Senate. As they do.
Mr. Scott of Florida, no.
As they do their little bit of work they have to do during the summer.
Mr. Fetterman, aye. Booker and Kelly. Mr. Booker, aye. Mr. Kelly, aye.
We are waiting on this vote to see if the big, beautiful bill passes. And of course, we're waiting on the Senate here to kind of close debate. They're voting on closing debate right now, Zachary Clark, at the moment, so they can continue to the main vote. That's what we're kind of seeing right now take place there in the Senate chambers. And of course, we have, which is cool to
On
see.
this motion, the yeas are 47, the nays are 53. The motion is not agreed to. I recognize the senator from Massachusetts.
Mr. President, I have a motion to commit at the desk.
The clerk will report.
The senator from Massachusetts, Mr. Markey, moves to commit the bill H.R. 1 to the Committee on Finance of the Senate with instructions to report the same back to the Senate in 3 days.
I further ask further reading of the motion be dispensed with.
Without objection.
I rise today to cut any part of this big, ugly bill that would force rural hospitals to limit their services or actually close their doors. I have released a list of more than 300 rural hospitals across the country at risk of closing or stopping services because of any major cuts to Medicare and Medicaid. Today, that's what Republicans are guaranteeing. With a $1 trillion cut to our healthcare system, they would create in this bill. My Republican colleagues' so-called Medicaid cuts replacement fund is like giving aspirin to a cancer patient. It is not enough. It is pathetically inadequate to deal with the healthcare crisis Republicans are creating here today on the Senate floor. No billionaire tax break or Donald Trump pat on the back is worth the risk of people's lives. Vote yes on this motion. Stop these health care cuts.
Mr. President.
I recognize the senator from Idaho.
Mr. President, more of the politics of fear. Rural hospitals and providers not only deliver essential healthcare services in their communities, but also strengthen local economies, employing hundreds of individuals and supporting regional business development. Unfortunately, for far too long, some rural hospitals have struggled to achieve financial stability, even with a wide range of targeted payment enhancements. These issues predate the consideration of the reforms that we are including in the legislation today. Let me be clear. This amendment is intended to derail this very bill. The Finance Committee has a long tradition of coming together on bipartisan issues, like bolstering our rural healthcare system. And I look forward to working with all my colleagues to advance permanent solutions to provide rural providers from telehealth to innovative reimbursement models. Today, we need to pass this essential legislation, and I oppose this amendment.
The motion is on the motion. Is there a sufficient second? There appears to be. The clerk will call the roll.
Ms. Also Brooks, Ms. Baldwin.
Yeah, Thinking Impaired says cutting the illegals from free Medicare, medical, or Medicaid or Medicare. Yeah, absolutely. That would save a ton of money. Of course, Democrats are using fear-mongering tactics to say, oh, by cutting all these things, but they won't tell the American people why the cuts are taking place. We're taking illegals off of Medicaid and Medicare, which is obviously reserved for citizens of the United States, not non-citizens. We're not paying for the world's healthcare system for people to come over here. Zachary says, are they just proposing and voting on amendments? Yeah, this is all the debate they're having with the big, beautiful bill. And the final vote will take place as they continue to debate these pieces. But it's important for us to watch and see what they're trying to do, because if we're not allowing
Mr. Banks. Mr. Brasso, Mr. Bennett, Mrs. Blackburn, Mr. Blumenthal. Okay. Ms. Blunt Rochester. Mr. Booker, Mr. Bozeman. Mrs. Britt, Mr. Budd. Ms. Cantwell. Mrs. Capito. Mr. Cassidy. Ms. Collins. Mr. Coons, Mr. Cornyn. Ms. Cortez Masto. Mr. Cotton, Mr. Kramer, Mr. Crapo, Mr. Cruz, Mr. Curtis,
It's like this chamber.
Mr. Daines, Ms. Duckworth,
This chamber
Mr.
should be.
Durbin,
This chamber should be packed with all the senators in there at all times when they're in session like this.
Ms. Ernst, Mr. Fetterman, Mrs. Fisher, Mr. Gallego, Mrs. Gillibrand, Mr. Graham, Mr. Grassley, Mr. Haggerty, Ms. Hassan, Mr. Heinrich, Mr. Hickenlooper, Ms. Hirono,
Miss Hirono.
Mr. Hoven, Mr. Husted, Mrs. Hyde Smith, Mr. Johnson, Mr. Justice, Mr. Kane, Mr. Kelly,
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Kennedy, Mr. Kim, Mr. King,
Democrats are using.
Ms. Klobuchar, Mr. Langford, Mr. Lee, Mr. Lujan, Ms. Lummis, Mr. Markey,
they're currently voting on different pieces of the bill right now.
Mr. Marshall,
Different things they're trying to either remove or put in. It's what they're trying to do at the moment. Again,
Mr. McConnell, Mr. McCormick,
it's just a delay tactic in order to try and continue to delay this bill from being passed.
Mr. Merkley, Mrs. Moody, Mr. Moran, Mr. Moreno,
So that's what
Mr. Mullen, Ms. Murkowski, Mr. Murphy, Mrs. Murray, Mr. Ossoff, Mr. Padilla, Mr. Paul,
Hey, Craig, thanks for watching over in the UK. I appreciate that. Love our friends over in the UK from across the pond. Thank you for watching. Thanks for the support, too. I'm glad to help contribute. Now that I'm doing this full time again, I can do things like this. And
Mr. Reed, Mr. Ricketts,
do these things
Mr.
more.
Risch,
Do these things more often.
Ms. Rosen, Mr. Rounds, Mr. Sanders, Mr. Schatz, Mr. Schiff, Mr. Schmidt, Mr. Schumer,
A few of those guys need to be in prison that just named.
Mr. Scott of Florida, Mr. Scott of South Carolina, Mr. Shaheen, Mr. Sheehy, Ms. Slotkin, Ms. Smith, Mr. Sullivan, Mr. Thune, Mr. Tillis, Mr. Tuberville, Mr. Van Hollen, Mr. Warner, Mr. Warnock,
Two
Ms.
more.
Warren, Mr. Welch, Mr. Whitehouse,
And Mr. Whitehouse. I think it's supposed to be Mr. Winehouse, not Whitehouse.
Mr. Wicker, Mr. Wyden, Mr. Young.
Yeah, that was Bernie down there on the floor. Did you see him? He was down there Miranda-ing through the Senate floor. Did you see that Joe Rogan podcast with him on there? He was on with Joe Rogan a few days ago. I don't know if any of you guys caught that or not. But Joe called him on some of his lies that he was trying to pass off as facts there on Joe Rogan show, and Joe very masterfully kind of called him out on it, which is good to see that new media is doing the job of what the media should have been doing all this time, right? So it takes podcast bros to fact check these lying politicians.
Senators voting the affirmative. Also Brooks, Baldwin, Blumenthal, Blunt Rochester, Booker, Cantwell, Coons, Cortez Masto, Duckworth, Durbin, Fetterman, Gallego, Gillibrand, Hassan, Heinrich, Hickenlooper, Hirono, Kane, Kim, King, Klobuchar, Lujan, Markey, Merkley, Murkowski, Ossoff, Padilla, Reed, Rosen, Sanders, Schatz, Schiff, Shaheen, Slotkin, Smith, Warner, Warren, Welch, Whitehouse, Wyden. Senators voting in the negative. Banks, Barrasso, Blackburn, Britt, Budd, Capito, Cornyn, Cotton, Kramer, Crapo, Cruz, Daines, Ernst, Fisher, Graham, Grassley, Haggerty, Husted, Hyde-Smith, Johnson, Justice, Kennedy, Lankford, Lee, Lummis, Marshall, Moody, Moran, Moreno, Mullen, Paul, Schmidt, Scott of Florida, Scott of South Carolina, Sheehy, Thune, Tillis, Tuberville, and Wicker.
Yeah,
Mr. Bennett, aye. Mr. Peters, aye.
The no tax on overtime is huge. I know a lot of people that would benefit from the no tax on overtime. That's a huge,
Mr. Cassidy, no.
huge win if this is able to
Mr. Bozeman, no.
if it's able to stay in. I know
Mr. Van Hollen, aye.
my wife would personally benefit from it from her job where she picks up overtime shifts.
Mr. Murphy, aye.
Now you won't be penalized by the government for working extra, which has always been dumb to me. You get paid, you get taxed more on overtime than you do any other parts of your check. It's absolutely insane that you are punished for wanting to work more. So yeah, I'm all for the no tax on overtime. Property tax is the worst tax for
Mrs.
me.
Murray, aye.
Yeah, here in Florida, I know where DeSantis is helping or working to try to get rid of the property tax for residential houses and property tax owners here in the state of Florida, which would be huge. That is a massive thing. It makes no sense once you own your house, you're still paying taxes on your house after you own it. Still have to pay it for that. Yeah, shovelhead for sure. It made it worth not working overtime. Yeah. Why would you want to work any extra overtime if you're just going to get taxed at a higher rate for wanting to work more?
Mr. Rounds, no.
Yeah, for sure.
Mr. Ricketts, no.
I Love Chicken says tips should not be taxed either. It's a gift. Yeah, absolutely. If I choose to give my server, $20, $25, that's why I try to tip always in like cash if I'm able to instead of cards. So that way it doesn't get tracked. I slipped them the extra cash under the table there.
Mr. Hawley, no.
And it's just another way the government, wants to continue to punish workers. I mean, every opportunity they have, they're trying to screw over the worker. Yeah, Florida Man says, yeah, it's like you rent the home you own. Yeah, absolutely. Heidi says, I live in
Mr.
Florida.
Kelly, aye.
I live in Florida. Our homeowners tax sucks and needs to work on homeowners insurance is out of control. Yeah, absolutely. I know I've heard a lot about that as well. Yeah, absolutely. You're right, Heidi. I like your profile pic, by the way, too. Treble is right. So, yeah, I like that. Yeah, Sherry Warren says property tax is theft. How can we own anything if we have to pay even after paying off a house? It's theft. It has been for decades. Absolutely. Absolutely agree. 100%.
Mr. Young, no. Mr. Schumer, aye.
Yeah, that's so dumb. That's so dumb. I hate that. I hate that for the service industry where you get tipped. Even if you try to get tipped in cash, you still have to report it or had to report it. It's just so dumb. So dumb. I think Elon was dead set against it because of the electric credits in it, the subsidies that are in it.
Mr. McCormick, no.
Possibly won't be beneficial for that industry, and of course he's big in that industry, so I think that's why he was really upset with it. I think there's still some stuff in this thing. What this is a continuing resolution, and it's not a standalone bill. This isn't the budget. This isn't Trump's first budget. That won't be until later on. This is continuing a resolution on Biden's budget that was passed a while back. And so this is a continuing resolution. But in the meantime,
Mr. Hoven, no.
With this continuing resolution, they're able to kind of tweak some things and put some stuff in there and fix some things within that budget that's already in place. So there's a budget that's already put in place by the Biden administration, and Trump has to work within the confines of that right now until he's able to propose his budget, which won't be till the end of this year. So I loathed so many of these politicians. I loathed them, man. And I just absolutely feel like they're just completely out of touch of everyday American. Most of these guys have never been an everyday American, right? A lot of these guys have always been a part of, a higher rung of society, if you will. Not all of them, but a lot of them. And then if they're not, they're bought and paid for by special interest. And if they don't vote the way the special interest wants them to vote, then we see things where they'll try to primary them out of their Senate seat. So it's a terrible thing that we see. There's just so much loathing I have for these people. Yeah, no problem, Craig. Hey, thanks for supporting. Thanks for watching. Appreciate it. Yeah, so right now what we're seeing is some speeches on the floor as they continue to debate this this bill, the big beautiful bill, as President Trump has dubbed it. And we definitely want to have as much transparency as we can with this bill, which is not a bad thing. The Democrats made it a whole thing. They're going to read the bill. It might be the first bill they've read in like over 20 years. Remember when Republicans were trying to get Democrats to stop so they could read the bill, the healthcare bill, Obamacare bill? Remember that back in like 2012? I think that was 2012, if I recall correctly.
Mr. Warnock. Aye. Mr. McConnell. No.
The Obamacare, where they closed off debate. They weren't going to read the bill. It was like over 2,000 pages. Of course, most bills now are over 2,000 pages, but then it was unprecedented that the bill was so large, and they only had like 48 hours or something to be able to read it and then vote on it. And Republicans were trying to get them to what we're doing right now, vote on this bill on the floor and read the bill for what it was. And Democrats who controlled the Senate at the time did not allow the reading of the bill. And Nancy Pelosi was famous for saying, then House Speaker of the House, Nancy Pelosi was famous for saying, well, we need to pass it to know what's in it. And it was a joke. I mean, it wasn't a joke, but it was a joke at the same time. How dumb are the American people? We can just tell them that we have to pass it before we can know what's inside this bill. Was the biggest slap to the face of the American people in recent memory. And then they passed it. Oh, look, we found out all these things. But in the meantime, as they were trying to get this bill passed, there was some stuff in there they were finding that they were looking to exempt themselves from. Remember, they exempted themselves from Obamacare.
Ms. Collins. Aye.
Hey, thinking Impaired says it was difficult to find your live feed. Says, I just tried to find your channel on a Roku device that I'm not signed into. YouTube on, and YouTube does everything to prevent finding your channel. Just shows some of your videos. Oh, wow. Did not know that. Thank you for telling me that. Would explain why my reach has been so drastically cut recently. So thank you for, I love it when you guys tell me things like this, because it
Mr. Sullivan. No. Mr. Risch. No.
It gives me some insight of what you guys see on your end. I can only see so much on my end. So when you guys give me that type of information, that is truly appreciative. So thank you so much. I do appreciate that. Zep says, I've been unsubscribed 3 times from Frank's channel in the past year alone. Wow. Wow, did not know that. Tom Tillis retirement, just a rhino retiring. I think he's purposely doing it. He knows it's not very popular, and I can't prove this, but I'm sure he's
Mr. Curtis, no.
I'm sure he's hoping the Democrat can win that Senate seat to tank Trump's second half of his term. And I know there's been rumors of Laura Trump, who's a native of North Carolina. I did not know that. Apparently, a native of North Carolina has been floated. Her name's been floated to run for that Senate seat in North Carolina. I don't know how I feel about that yet. I need to kind of look into it a little bit more to really form an opinion about it. But in either case, if we're able to get a MAGA fighter in that seat, would be a huge win in the Senate, because for too long the Senate has been ran by the rhinos and Democrats, and basically been run by the Democrats, if we're going to be completely honest, over the last 20 plus years. So, hey, Tina Walters. Hey, good afternoon. How are you? My opinions, they get paid enough to vote on one thing at a time and maybe two items. I'm just tired of them jamming junk in with the good stuff. Yeah. Unfortunately, because of this, Tina, the way this is, as I was explaining earlier, it's a continuing resolution. It's a CR. So it's attached to the Biden budget that was passed late last year, this is the budget for the current year we're in. And so with continuing a resolution, you have to work within the framework of that budget already. What this is the resolutions within the continuing resolution in order to try to either, slim some things down in one area and allocate money somewhere else and things like that. That's what's kind of going on with this big, beautiful bill. So Trump won't actually have a clean bill to work with until he makes his budget for next year. That will be Trump's budget then in the following year. All this is a continuing resolution of that bill, of that budget that was passed by the Biden administration last year, before Trump became president, by the way. William Ellis is correct. A bunch of criminals trying to dig in our pockets. Absolutely. So, but back to make common sense great again. Yeah, absolutely. Back to what Thinking Impaired had mentioned earlier, and Zep giving me info like that is so tremendously helpful. So thank you guys so much for telling me that you guys are having a hard time finding my channel and things like that. So there is something obviously going on.
On this vote, the yeas are 49, the nays are 51. The motion is not.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, I ask unanimous consent that it be in order for the following senators to be recognized to offer amendments, motions, or points of order, that the amendments be reported by number with no amendments in order prior to a vote in relation to the amendments or motions. Wyden, motion to commit. Coons, motion to commit.
Without objection. I recognize the senator from Minnesota.
Mr. President, I make a point of order that the pending measure contains an unfunded intergovernmental mandate, and thus it violates Section 425A2 of the Congressional Budget Act of 1974. In nutrition assistance alone, this bill shifts tens of billions of dollars onto the states, creating chaos for state budgets and hardship for families. CBO score for this bill says this: the non-tax provisions of the substitute amendment would impose intergovernmental and private sector mandates as defined in the Unfunded Mandates Reform Act, and that the SNAP cost shift provisions would impose the largest intergovernmental mandate. Seriously, the largest shift in this whole bill, the largest unfunded mandate, is on the backs of kids and veterans and seniors and people with disabilities. $64 billion over to the states. 44 of them have balanced budget amendments. You know they can't pay for this. It's hurting local grocery stores. It's hurting our farmers. and it's all done to pay for tax cuts to the wealthy. I say to our colleagues, vote for families over billionaires, vote for fiscal sanity over this big, beautiful
senator's time has
betrayal,
expired.
and vote yes, this is an unfunded mandate.
She eats salad with a comb. I'm not listening to
I recognize
anything
the
she
senator
does.
from Arkansas.
I rise to waive the point of order raised by my colleague from Minnesota. I urge my colleagues to vote to waive the point of order. In 2023, the SNAP payment error exceeded 11%, amounting to more than $10 billion in misspent taxpayer dollars. This underscores the need for stronger state accountability in administering this program. This title incentivizes states to be a better steward of taxpayer dollars, to use resources that are prioritized for those most in need. If a state's payment area is below 6%, that state is exempt from any share of the cost of SNAP benefits. This is a reasonable approach that will help preserve the integrity and long-term sustainability of the program. There is ample time for the states to adjust, plan, and budget for this to take effect in 2028. States can also work to lower their payment error rate over the next couple of years so that they would be exempt from the match altogether. I move to waive the point of order for the consideration of the pending legislation and ask for the yeas and nays.
Is there a sufficient second? There appears to be. The clerk will call the roll.
All right.
Ms. Also Brooks, Ms. Baldwin. Johnson. Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah, so they're trying everything they can in order to try to undermine this bill. Right now, they're going piece by piece of it right now. This is SNAP benefits. They're trying to say that because of the cutting of SNAP benefits, which really the benefits that are being looked at within the SNAP thing, there's been riddled with fraud. Why are Democrats so keen?
Mr. Banks, Mr. Barrasso, Mr. Bennett.
Why are Democrats so keen in keeping fraud in these systems? Why? Well, because it's part of their constituents, right? Their constituents are not the American people. It's illegals that flow into this country in order to try to change demographics within states across the country, especially red states. The ever-changing demographics of red states, because the unfiltered illegal immigration has been terrible for the United States. If you were to able to take all of this illegals we have obtained within the country, like, for example, California would be red once again. It would not be blue. And they would lose like 5 House seats in the state of California. So this is what's happening here. This is what's going on with the Democrat Party. They're screeching because of cuts within some of their slush fund areas. And this is what this continuing resolution is all about. It's a examination into the Biden
Mrs. Blackburn, Mr. Blumenthal. Ms. Blunt Rochester, Mr. Booker, Mr. Bozeman, Mrs. Britt. Mr. Budd, Ms. Cantwell, Mrs. Capito, Mr. Cassidy, Ms. Collins, Mr. Coons, Mr. Cornyn, Ms. Cortez Masto,
Sullivan, aye.
Bud.
Yeah, I'm sorry to hear that, Sherry. I can kind of relate to that.
Mr. Cornyn, Ms. Cortez Masto, Mr. Cotton, Mr. Kramer, Mr. Crapo, Mr. Cruz, Mr. Curtis, Mr. Daines, Ms. Duckworth, Mr. Durbin, Ms. Ernst, Mr. Fetterman,
where people are.
Ms. Ernst, Mr. Fetterman, Mrs. Fisher,
people that don't work tend to get way
Mr. Gallego.
more benefits than people that do work.
Mrs. Gillibrand, Mr. Graham, Mr. Grassley, Mr. Haggerty, Ms. Hassan, Mr. Hawley, Mr. Heinrich, Mr. Hickenlooper, Ms. Hirono, Mr. Hoven, Mr. Husted, Mrs. Hyde-Smith, Mr. Johnson, Mr. Justice, Mr. Kane, Mr. Kelly, Mr. Kennedy, Mr. Kim, Mr. King, Ms. Klobuchar.
I remember early on our marriage, when we first had our first child, and it was really, really tough to be making ends meet. I swallowed my pride and went down.
Mr. Langford, Mr. Lee, Mr. Lujan.
Went down to the
Ms. Lummis, Mr. Markey, Mr. Marshall, Mr. McConnell, Mr. McCormick, Mr. Merkley, Mr. Moody, Mrs. Moody, Mr. Moran, Mr. Moreno.
Went down to the food stamp area, wherever, to try to get assistance because we were really, really struggling.
Mr. Mullen, Ms. Murkowski, Mr. Murphy, Mrs. Murray, Mr. Ossoff, Mr. Padilla, Mr. Paul, Mr. Peters, Mr. Reed, Mr. Ricketts, Mr. Risch, Ms. Rosen, Mr. Rounds.
And I recall being turned away and turned down because they said I made too much money at the time.
Mr. Sanders, Mr. Schatz, Mr. Schiff, Mr. Schmidt, Mr. Schumer, Mr. Scott of Florida, Mr. Scott of South Carolina, Mrs. Shaheen, Mr. Sheehy, Ms. Slotkin, Ms. Smith.
And what was so frustrating about
Mr. Sullivan, Mr. Thune, Mr. Tillis, Mr. Tuberville, Mr. Van Hollen.
What was so frustrating about it is when I went out of the office, looking in the parking lot, seeing all the nice, near brand new cars out there, people that were receiving food stamp benefits that were not even working. And meanwhile, I was getting into this old used car, and just me working full time, and my wife at the time, or wife now, I haven't had any other wives, just one wife. But at the time, she was only working part time, just a couple of days a week, because it would be way too expensive to try to pay anybody to watch our child. And so trying to get any type of assistance was nearly impossible because they said I worked too much and we were married. And so it's a real problem because of the systems that are rifle with fraud, abuse, and waste is what impacts that good, hardworking Americans that sometimes do need some assistance. They're able to access those funds to get assistance. And it took a lot for me to swallow that pride and to go and ask for some help, and then to be turned away because they said I made too much money, which I did not make very much money. It was not very much. But they said I made too much money. This was back in
Mr. Murphy, Mrs. Murray, Mr. Ossoff, Mr. Padilla, Mr. Paul, Mr. Peters, Mr. Reed, Mr. Ricketts, Mr. Risch, Ms. Rosen, Mr. Rounds, Mr. Sanders, Mr. Schatz, Mr. Schiff, Mr. Schmidt, Mr. Schumer, Mr. Scott of Florida, Mr. Scott of South Carolina, Mrs. Shaheen, Mr. Sheehy, Ms. Slotkin, Ms. Smith, Mr. Sullivan, Mr. Thune, Mr. Tillis, Mr. Tuberville, Mr. Van Hollen, Mr. Warner, Mr. Warnock, Ms. Warren, Mr. Welch, Mr. Whitehouse, Mr. Wicker, Mr. Wyden, Mr. Young.
And at that moment, I realized that, hey, won't be able to count on government to help you. It's time to, try to buckle down and figure out something else. And I remember having to figure something else out and trying to ensure that we make ends meet and things like that. So it was a heartbreaking thing to know that I could even turn to the things I paid taxes into in order to try to utilize those things out of the government. And so with stuff like that, that's riddled with fraud, waste, and abuse, it's just sad to see people, good, hardworking Americans and young families, not be able to get assistance when they need it, especially when they're falling on hard times or whatever. And it's really, really a thing. Yeah, welfare promotes helplessness and cheaper not to work. Absolutely. I was a manager at a supermarket back in the mid-2000s.
Senators voting in the affirmative: Banks, Blackburn, Bozeman, Britt, Bud, Capito, Cassidy, Cornyn, Cotton, Kramer, Crapo, Cruz, Curtis, Daines, Ernst, Fisher, Graham, Grassley, Hoven, Husted, Johnson, Justice, Langford, Lee, Lummis, Marshall, McConnell, McCormick, Moody, Moran, Moreno, Mullen, Paul, Ricketts, Rounds, Schmidt, Scott of Florida, Sheehy, Sullivan, Thune, Tillis, Tuberville, and Young. Senators voting in the negative: also Brooks, Baldwin, Bennett, Blumenthal, Blunt Rochester, Cortez Masto, Durbin, Gallego, Hassan, Heinrich, Hickenlooper, Hirono, Kane, Kelly, Kim, King, Klobuchar, Lujan, Markey, Merkley, Murkowski, Murphy, Murray, Ossoff, Padilla, Peters, Reed, Rosen, Sanders, Schatz, Schumer, Shaheen, Slotkin, Smith, Warner, Warnock, Warren, Welch, Whitehouse, and Wyden. Mr. Wicker, aye.
Yeah, welfare promotes helplessness and cheaper not to work. I was a manager.
Mrs. Height Smith, aye. Ms. Collins, aye.
I was a manager in the mid 2000s, and I remember having
Mr. Risch, aye.
some associates that would tell me not to schedule them so much because they could lose their welfare benefits. Because if they worked too much, then the welfare would be dropped from them. And so they would refuse to work, even though they were more than capable of working and things like that. They refused to work because they knew they make more by only working a certain amount of hours, and they were more than capable people to do it. I mean, some of them had potential bright futures within the company had they committed to continue and to advance themselves. But unfortunately, they figured out they made more money by allowing the state to continue
Mrs. Gillibrand, no.
To subsidize them to not work. So yeah, absolutely thinking impaired.
Mr. Coons, no. Ms. Duckworth, no. Mr. Schiff, no.
Yeah, Zepp, I don't agree with Trump going after Massey. I think that energy could be used to go after other Democrats. And I know there's some issues with Massey. Massey's a pretty reliable vote for a lot of things. And I know he's very staunch as far as physical conservatism goes and things like that. And, sometimes you got to take that and be able to work within what you're working with. And I think Trump just doesn't like Massey because Massey has been very vocal about it. But I think replacing him would be a negative. And him using this time and energy to try to primary him, I don't agree with either. I think he should truly, single out weaker Democrats within the Democrat Party and go after those seats. That's just my thought on that. Yeah, I don't think he is the new.
Ms. Cantwell, no.
Yeah.
Mr. Van Hollen, no.
Rooster, I don't believe that Trump is the new 21st century BAM law system. I mean, every government tool system that's on earth has been moving in a beastly way, beastly direction, if we're going to use biblical terms, right? Beastly direction. That's nothing new. I mean, that's been going on since the institution of governments. And that's what happens when you're in a fallen world. Even in the United States, we move in a beastly system, right? And that will culminate in the return of Jesus Christ. And so I don't think Trump is like anything outside of what he is within a system. I mean, if you think about it, if we're speaking biblically, all kings have been appointed by God. So, I mean, every king.
Mr. Hawley, aye.
And every leader that we've seen in the world throughout history has been appointed by God. And that's to bring about his glorified for his glory and his praise as the return of Jesus Christ comes. So, Hey, Michael, good to see you. When 6.2 million 111-year-olds are cashing welfare checks, there is a problem. Why can't people on the left realize this? This is disgraceful. I agree. I can't understand why that's so controversial to talk about or even say. I scroll Facebook from time to time, and it's just, man, it's just riddled with so many lies and so many things like this, like you're talking about here, Michael, where it's brushed aside and people don't want to talk about it. It's really sad, really, that we can't get behind. Why wouldn't we want to eliminate waste and fraud within these systems to help better serve people that deserve it or people that need access to it? It's just beyond me. It's just beyond anything I can rationalize in my head. I can't not think about. I cannot fathom saying, yeah, that's a good thing. It's a good thing we got waste and fraud in these areas. It's a good thing. Yeah, absolutely right. So for all that you guys are joining in, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe button on your way in. Hit that little bell. Is awesome as well. Thank you so much for continuing to support the stream. And of course, hello to all of our Rumble people over on Rumble. I have 2 people over there watching, so great to see you guys over on Rumble. Thank you for supporting the Rumble stream. Yeah, absolutely. So much fraud just proves we have absolutely little to no oversight. Yeah, and the oversight that Congress is supposed to be giving through this fraud and waste stuff, they just turn a blind eye to it and just add more layers into bureaucracy, so that way more fraud.
Mr. Fetterman, no.
That way more fraud and waste can continue. It's quite infuriating. So if you just joined us, we are currently watching the Senate debate the big, beautiful bill, and Democrats are trying to take apart the big, beautiful bill within this session as they are debating on this. And so far, they have been unsuccessful in removing any of the parts that President Trump wants in it at the moment right now. So we are continuing to watch these votes come in as they look to do that.
Mr. Kennedy, aye.
Okay, William, I'll see you over on Rumble over there. I am trying to continue to grow my Rumble account over there on Rumble and continue to work on that because they take a little bit less than the YouTubes do when you donate and things like that. And so it's a good avenue if you're looking to ensure the most effective bang for your buck, if you will, over on YouTube, over on Rumble. You get a way bigger percentage of the donation than you do on YouTube. So I know. Hey, Salt Pirate. Okay, I'm here. That must be William. All right, Salt Pirate. We got to get Rumble the numbers. Yeah, absolutely. That's why I'm every stream I do on YouTube is always mirrored over on Rumble. I am doing my best to continue to support the Rumble platform, and I will starting next week. I'm actually going to start making exclusive content for Rumble that isn't shown over here on YouTube. So starting next week, I'm adding that extra layer over on Rumble on the channel. So topics and things that YouTube typically frowns upon, I will be covering over on Rumble and really trying to continue to grow that platform over there. So yeah, love Rumble. I'm liking what they're doing. They've come a long way.
Mr. Booker, no.
They've come a long way in the streaming platform, and it's becoming more and more user friendly. Which is great, so kudos to those individuals who went to Rumble early. I've had a lot of issues with Rumble as I was trying to integrate it into my platforms that I stream on, and I had a real difficult time trying to get it to stream correctly and get it to. So there for a while, I just did not use it, even though I had an account over there. I just did not use it. until here over the last few months where they've really made it easier to actually work and perform and do the things over there. Salt Pirate over on Rumble, by the way. He's over there on Rumble. Says, bet they won't censor I come from the Salty Army, so I know all about it. Yeah, I love the Salty Army. You guys are awesome. Been a friend of Salty's for quite a few years. I love Salty. I love Miss Salty. And
Mr. Barrasso, aye.
And all the Salty
Mr.
maniacs.
Mr. Haggerty, aye.
Yeah, Heidi says, good to know. I watch a lot of people over on Rumble. Yeah. And eventually, I know Salty was doing this way back a couple of years ago. He was actually working to move people over to Rumble from YouTube. And he was doing that every stream. He would stream for like the first hour on YouTube, and then he would move everything over to the Rumble stream and encourage people to go over there and help continue to grow that platform. And I think he did a wonderful job doing that over there on Rumble. And I think he is a key individual over on that Rumble site that I don't think he gets enough credit for what he's been able to do with moving people over to this alternative platform. And so kudos to Salty. I know he's always been on the leading edge of new streaming platforms and things like that. I remember it was Pilled, something Pilled he was doing. He was on the one with a ninja on it. I can't remember that stream what it was called. But it had like a little ninja. You do like diamonds and stuff like that as donations. He was on all of them. Odysee. I know Odyssee's had a lot of issues lately, and that sucks. I really did like Odysee. They had a really easy user platform to utilize. Odysee was good, and of course Rumble, and there was a couple other ones that they did. Yes, Heidi says that's how I move, Salty. That's how I move. Salty rules. Yeah, he does. Yeah, I got a few people over on Rumble right now. Awesome. D Live. That's what it was called. Salty Pirate. Yeah, D Live. I remember that. I remember D Live. I tried to. Yeah, when I was starting out for the longest time, I still don't have the best absolute equipment that you can use to stream with and things like that. I couldn't stream on the majority of the platforms because I didn't have the technology to do it. It was so sad. But yeah, D Live. I remember he was in all these places. Yeah, thanks for supporting over on the Rumble. We have 8 people over on Rumble. Yeah, keep the chat going over there on Rumble. Help it get shown a little bit more. We're going to be on for a while. As this continues on, we're going to stay on as this continues. So keep the chat on going over on Rumble. We have 8 people over there. That's awesome. I love the Rumble people. Rumble. We have 53 over watching on YouTube right now. So great stuff. Don't forget to hit the like buttons on both areas. If you're over on Rumble, hit that like button. If you're over here on YouTube, also do it as well. As we wait for these guys to bring this stuff over and get this next part of the big, beautiful bill so we can get this thing passed, so we can get the no taxes on overtime, right? The no taxes on tips, the extra 10,000 ICE agents to go raid large cities to extract dangerous criminals out of these cities, and hopefully improve the American life for the everyday American citizen in this nation. Wouldn't that be nice if we could actually grow the wealth of this nation in its citizens, in the citizens, by being able to, remove people who don't belong here, who help drive down wages, right? And that's what we've seen. We've seen a lot of stagnation in wages because you have these illegals who don't have to, that work, off the books and undercut actual good labor prices. And they're like, oh, well, we could do it for like half of what you're paying them. And they'll sit there and they'll send that money back over to the country they came from.
On this vote, the yeas are 51, the nays are 48. The motion is agreed to.
President.
I recognize the senator from Oregon.
Mr. President, I have a motion to commit at the desk.
The clerk will report.
Senator from Oregon, Mr. Wyden, moves to commit the bill HR 1 to the Committee on Finance with instructions to report back forthwith.
Mr. President, I ask that further reading of the motion be dispensed with.
Without objection.
Mr. President, this is a motion supported by all finance Democrats to send the bill back to the Finance Committee to strike all the Medicaid cuts and ensure that big corporations and the ultra-wealthy pay their fair share in taxes. It is now clear that there is bipartisan opposition in the Senate to the Medicaid cuts in this bill. That's because it's the biggest Medicaid cut in history and represents the largest transfer of wealth in history. It is caviar over kids, hedge funds over healthcare, Mar-a-Lago over the middle class. These Medicaid cuts are going to reach down into every corner of our nation's healthcare system. As we've heard from rural America, rural hospitals will close their doors. Seniors are going to lose care at home and be left with fewer nursing homes and fewer nurses. Kids with disabilities will lose health care. We saw them on the steps of the Capitol last night. Never have I seen legislation
Senator's time's expired.
focused on denying health care to eligible Americans.
Senator's time is
This amendment is an
expired.
opportunity to take these awful Medicaid cuts off the table and find another way forward. I yield back.
Mr. President,
I recognize the senator from Kansas.
Mr. President, good morning. It's great to be here. I just want to share with America the great work that Republicans have done on Medicaid, that we're preserving it, we're protecting it, we're strengthening it for those who need it the most. We're going to make sure that your seniors in nursing homes, that pregnant women, that children, that people on disabilities have Medicaid in the future. We are fiscally making Medicaid more sound. You know, it's only in Washington, D.C. that you increase spending at a rate faster than inflation, and you call it a cut. So we're increasing spending on this legislation. We're increasing funding for Medicaid. We are preserving and protecting it for those who need it the most. I urge everyone to vote no on this amendment. Thank you. Are you?
The questions on the motion. Is there a sufficient second? There appears to be. The clerk will call the roll.
Ms. Also Rooks, Ms. Baldwin.
You are correct, Michael Laffin. You are correct. Just wants to continue to extort more funds from you. Hey, Soylent Green, great to see you. But they have no problem giving free health care to illegals. Absolutely correct. They have no problem in doing that. Who's actually losing Medicaid? Probably the illegals. They did this whole show, right? He just referenced a bunch of disabled kids showing up to the Capitol steps. Obviously, there were busts there to do this, and their willing parents probably brought them up there. It's just more theater, more shows, and trying to pull on the heartstrings. Hey, we got to continue all this extra spending so we can continue to.
Mr. Banks. Mr. Barrasso, Mr. Bennett.
To continue to pass off all this fraud and waste to our illegal buddies. Yep, we're at 80 likes hype. Yep, absolutely. Fat Boy Gaming, no nonsense. Hey, man, great to see you today. Thanks for coming in and hyping up the likes over here.
Mrs. Blackburn, Mr. Blumenthal, Ms. Blunt Rochester, Mr. Booker, Mr. Bozeman.
Yeah, Zep says that Hollywood rejects become politicians. Sherry over on Rumble says kids with disabilities have already.
Mr. Budd, Ms. Cantwell, Mrs. Capito, Mr. Cassidy, Ms. Collins, Mr. Coons, Mr. Cornyn.
She says kids with disabilities have already lost care. In my opinion, is due to all the fraud happening. Absolutely, Sherry, who's over on Rumble, by the way, right now, watching. Hey, Mayor, great to see you. Thanks for coming in and joining us. Yeah, I'm good with illegals losing it as well. It's too long they've been able to continue to, excuse the phrase, suck on the tit of the American taxpayer. So, yeah, Congress is useless. Block 53, I would agree. They are useless. They have not been able to produce anything of significance that is beneficial to the American public. And I don't know how long. Yeah, you're absolutely right.
Cortez Masto.
we got going on Rumble over here. We got 10 watching on Rumble. That's some hype happening over there. So thank you for everyone watching over on Rumble. Appreciate y'all. Thank you so much for continuing to keep the conversation happening over on Rumble. Appreciate you guys. Thank you. Thank you so much. Sherry
Cotton, Mr. Kramer, Mr. Crapo, Mr. Cruz.
Sherry over on Rumble says, I had to be taken to the emergency and literally was treated so bad that I honestly was terrified that they were going to kill me. I was absolutely, no, I was about to run out of the exit. Other patients was terrified as well. Yeah. Yeah, we want term limits and illegal lobbying. Yeah, we want that gone. Yeah, we want that gone. Yeah. Salt Pride, the hype is real over on Rumble, man. Thanks a lot. Keep that conversation flowing over there. Let's get some more people to join over on Rumble, over from Rumble, right? Yeah, for sure. Wait till October when the Supreme Court rules on citizenship.
Mr. Cruz, Mr. Kirk, Ms. Duckworth, Mr. Durbin, Ms. Ernst, Mr. Fetterman, Mrs. Fisher, Mr. Gallego, Mrs. Gillibrand, Mr. Graham, Mr. Grassley.
Democrats are going to lose their minds. Yeah, I think so. If they rule in the affirmative and they side with the Trump administration on the reading of the 14th Amendment and how that birthright citizenship actually works, it'll be interesting to see how that's applied. Will it be applied retroactively?
Mr. Haggerty, Ms. Hassan, Mr. Hawley, Mr. Heinrich, Mr. Hickenlooper, Ms. Hirono, Mr. Hoven, Mr. Husted, Mrs. Hyde-Smith, Mr. Johnson, Mr. Justice, Mr. Kane, Mr. Kelly, Mr. Kennedy, Mr. Kim, Mr. King.
I lost my chain of thought. If the Supreme Court sides with the Trump administration, how would it be enforced? Would they enforce it retroactively, or going forward? So it'll be interesting to see that discussion. Michael Laffin says this. He says,
Klobuchar, Mr. Langford, Mr. Lee, Mr. Lujan, Ms. Lummis, Mr. Markey, Mr. Marshall, Mr. McConnell, Mr. McCormick, Mr. Merkley, Mrs. Moody, Mr. Moran, Mr. Marino, Mr. Mullen, Ms. Murkowski, Mr. Murphy, Mrs. Murray, Mr. Ossoff, Mr. Padilla, Mr. Paul, Mr. Peters, Mr. Reed, Mr. Ricketts, Mr. Risch, Ms. Rosen, Mr. Rounds.
Meanwhile, mainstream media, CNN, MSNBC is pushing it's a World War III now. Did I miss something? The only thing I can think of, I believe the shooting that took place in Idaho, they're trying to link that to Iran, saying it's an Iran sleeper cell. I find that highly convenient and on the cusp of possibly being a false flag. I have not had an opportunity. I flagged a few articles so I could read it. But I won't probably put out a video out on that until probably later on this afternoon. But yeah, there is something that smells in that story out of Idaho, and it's disgusting that those emergency workers were fired upon and multiple fatalities that took place. So I think that's what they may be referring to. Michael, I could be wrong, but I think that's what they're referring to.
Ms. Rosen, Mr. Rounds, Mr. Sanders, Mr. Schatz, Mr. Schiff, Mr. Schmidt, Mr. Schumer, Mr. Scott of Florida.
Yep, Dems want health care for illegals, but many poor Americans don't have it. Yeah, absolutely. Sherry over on Rumble says, when you allow millions of illegals living in poverty having kids who get to use American programs, those programs get overwhelmed. They run out of money. Absolutely.
Mr. Schmidt, Mr. Schumer, Mr. Scott of Florida, Mr. Scott of South Carolina, Mrs. Shaheen, Mr. Sheehy, Ms. Slotkin, Ms. Smith, Mr. Sullivan, Mr. Thune, Mr. Tillis, Mr. Tuberville, Mr. Van Hollen, Mr. Warner, Mr. Warnock, Ms. Warren, Mr. Welch, Mr. Whitehouse, Mr. Wicker, Mr. Wyden, Mr. Young.
The bird flu disappeared right after the finances for the vaccine disappeared. Interesting how that works, huh? Very interesting. Michael Laffin says that makes sense. Thanks, Frank. Yeah, absolutely. And don't quote me on it, but I think that's what they're referring to. I've been trying to kind of keep an eye on the Twitter feed over here to kind of see what people are saying about whatever. And so if there's anything that comes up as significant that we can cut away from, we will go ahead and cut away from this to follow that Idaho thing that's taking place.
Senators voting in the affirmative: Alsobrooks, Baldwin, Bennett, Blunt Rochester, Booker, Cantwell, Fetterman, Gallego, Gillibrand, Hassan, Heinrich, Hickenlooper, Kim, King, Klobuchar, Lujan, Markey, Murphy, Murray, Padilla, Peters, Reed, Rosen, Sanders, Schiff, Schumer, Shaheen, Slotkin, Van Hollen, Warner, Warren, Welch, and Wyden. Senators voting in the negative: Banks, Barrasso, Blackburn, Britt, Budd, Capito, Cassidy, Collins, Cornyn, Cotton, Kramer, Crapo, Cruz, Curtis, Daines, Ernst, Fisher, Graham, Haggerty, Hoven, Husted, Justice, Kennedy, Langford, Marshall, McCormick, Moody, Moran, Mullen, Murkowski, Paul, Ricketts, Risch, Rounds, Schmidt, Scott of Florida, Scott of South Carolina, Sheehy, Thune, Tillis, Tuberville, and Young.
Mr. Blumenthal, aye. Mr. Bozeman, no. Mr. Lee, no. Mrs. Hyde-Smith, no. Mr. Durbin, aye. Mr. Marino, aye. Mr. Merkley, Mr. Marino, no. Mr. Merkley, aye.
The Idaho shooter's name is Wes Rowley. No other information was shared about him. What do we know? So that's 48 minutes ago.
Miss Cortez Masto, aye.
That was 48 minutes ago. So I will keep an eye on that story.
Mr. Sullivan, no.
I will keep an eye on that story as we continue to kind of watch that develop.
Mr. Coons, aye. Mr. Johnson, no. Mr. Wicker, no.
So let's see what we got going on here. That's an interesting race that's happening in New York with Zoran, and Eric Adams, and then the dude from the Guardian Angels. It'll be interesting how that one goes. I want to say Adams wins this race, even so, but it will be way closer than what we actually think. So I won't be surprised if Zoran wins.
Mr. Ono, aye. Mr. Whitehouse, aye. Mr. Ossoff, aye.
Yeah. Oh, I agree, Christy. There are. It's not just the D's; it's also the R's. Just do some research on their APAC reps. Yep, absolutely. I agree with that. Yeah, we should have no foreign lobbying.
Mr. Schatz, aye.
And we should have no politician.
Ms. Duckworth, aye.
Who puts another country on equal footing as the United States.
Ms. Smith, aye.
Or over it. I mean, I had a lot of problems with what Ted Cruz said the other day.
Mr. Kane, aye.
The only reason he ran for the Senate was to represent Israel, which is a foreign nation. That would just be just as much as offensive as Ilhan Omar saying she ran for the U.S. Congress to represent Somalia. So, yeah, absolutely. cannot stand politicians that are bought and paid for by other countries. Even every elected official that we might have. So yeah. Any Damaged Dime says Zohan isn't winning. Tom Homan will have Democrat voters deported. Illegal invaders. Yeah. Cherry over on Rebel says if they elect Zorro, they will see massive business and wealth leave, and voters will be left with the bill. Yep. And it will become. It will.
Mr. Grassley, no.
Unfortunately, it will turn into even more of a third world country than it has already. I have not visited New York City ever in my life, ever. I've had aspirations to go to New York City. My wife visited New York City back in the 2000, before the Twin Towers came down. So she visited New York City before September 11th. I think it was that winter.
Mr. Kelly,
It was like December of 2000 or January of 2001. She visited New York City with her class, and yeah, it was nice then. I mean, it was good, but now it's just terrible. It's terrible. I don't know. I don't know if I'll ever want to visit New York City. I don't think there's anything that's propelling me to have a want to visit New York City. That same thing goes for like a lot of different states as well. Even California. I would love to visit California because I think there's a lot of beauty in California. However, I don't have the desire to go there. I recently went on a mission trip back in 2023 to El Salvador, and I got to fill one of my bucket lists, which was to actually touch the Pacific Ocean. That was always a bucket list. I've never made it that far west to touch the Pacific Ocean. I wanted to, and I got a chance to do that by visiting El Salvador. So now there's not a whole bigger reason for me to visit California. That was all one of my bucket lists, was to go ahead and touch the Pacific Ocean, be able to go into it and touch it. I brought some of it back with me. Say, hey, KB17 says, hey, Frank, longtime sub. How do you find motivation to keep running your YouTube? Yeah. Hey, KB says, I am from El Salvador. That's awesome. You guys have a beautiful country, by the way. Love El Salvador. The current president there has done immensely great things in that nation in order to make it inhabitable for the citizens of that country. So yeah, you guys have a wonderful country, KB17. And to answer your question that you had asked me, hey Frank, longtime sub, how do you find the motivation to keep running your YouTube? The motivation comes from the desire of wanting to do my best to help inform other people. And that's basically where it comes from. It stems out of a love to share information with others, and hopefully those other people can share that information along to their friends and family, and to be able to make these connections in the community.
Mr. McConnell, no.
Of the Let's Be Frank, tree, if you will. And so that what really motivates me. That motivates me, and of course, it's something I've always loved doing. I've been doing YouTube now since 2018. And I've loved, and even before 2018, before I even got into YouTube, I love commentating on politics and cultural things. And YouTube gave me that opportunity to actually have a platform to do it from. And I really appreciate this opportunity and this thing. I appreciate everybody that watches and consumes the content, and I really do appreciate that. So yeah, great question, KB17.
Ms. Lummis, no.
So, yeah, we have 6 people watching over on Rumble. 6 people watching over Rumble. Thank you for watching over on Rumble, guys. Appreciate y'all. Yeah, Damage Dime says, I used to want to visit New York, and now it's looking like a crime and trash area where people there look like they just want to leave. Yeah, that's terrible. That is terrible. Flop 53 says, I passed on I passed on last 2 trips to NYC and Cali too, or too funny. Yeah. Yeah. I don't have a desire to want to go to either of those places any longer. So if I die tomorrow, I won't be sad because I didn't visit New York City or California. That's just, the furthest west I've been now in the stateside west is Texas, Dallas. Dallas is the furthest west I have been thus far. So maybe I'll make it out a little bit further west. I would like to visit other states, explore some of these other great cities in the country. But these senators here, yeah, they don't care about any of that stuff. They don't care about any of that stuff, unfortunately, right? Let's see, I'm kind of searching Twitter right now as well, trying to see what else we have going on.
Mr. Warnock, aye.
To see if we have any additional information on that shooting in Idaho that is so there is a piece inside the bill. President Trump supports an upcoming bill that would block illegal immigrants from counting in the U.S. Census. If passed, this move would likely take away House seats from Democrats. Back in 2024, during the interview with Don Lemon, Elon Musk
On this motion, the yeas are 47, the nays are 53. The motion is not agreed to. I recognize the senator from Delaware.
Mr. President, I have a motion to commit at the desk.
The clerk will report it.
The senator from Delaware, Mr. Coons, moves to commit the bill H.R. 1 to the Committee on Finance with instructions to report back forthwith.
Mr. President, I ask for the reading of the motion be dispensed with.
Without objection.
Colleagues, the ugly truth about this so-called big, beautiful bill is that it will kick 17 million Americans off their health care. This bill cuts almost $1 trillion from Medicaid and other health care programs by tying people up in red tape. Republicans will tell you they're trying to improve Medicaid, but the truth is they're not. It is cruel and dishonest to bury parents, kids, and seniors in paperwork and then blame them when they lose their health care, all to further rig our tax code for the very wealthiest. This week, I met with 30 nurses from Delaware. Their patients couldn't come to DC, so they did. They care for seniors and newborns, families, and the disabled. And they're asked to us, don't take health care away from tens of thousands of Delawareans and millions of Americans. Colleagues, support this Coons amendment to eliminate cruel and unnecessary red tape and allow Americans to keep the health care they need and deserve.
When is this done?
Mr. President,
I recognize the senator from Kansas.
as I look at this, the senator's motion is on work requirements. Back home, we had a saying for people that had an aversion to work. We called it an allergy to work. But my question is, don't you think a job brings value, that it brings dignity? Do you not think that a job brings purpose and meaning to life? We have 7 million healthy American men across this country, working age, that aren't working right now. So yes, we want to encourage people to go back to work, but our bill, as you point out, actually preserves and protects it for those groups. Our bill makes it stronger, financially stronger, so that we can protect it and strengthen it for seniors in nursing homes, for people with disabilities, for pregnant women, and for children. Let's protect Medicaid for those who need it the most. I urge a no vote on this, and I'll never apologize for encouraging people to go to.
The question occurs on the motion. Is there a sufficient second? There appears to be. The clerk will call the roll.
Ms. Alser-Brooks, Ms. Baldwin, Mr. Banks, Mr. Barrasso, Mr. Bennett, Mrs. Blackburn, Mr. Blumenthal.
KB 17, they are still debating the bill, so nothing's been passed as of yet. they are set to vote on the bill, but they're using all kinds of delay tactics in order to not advance the bill any further. Looking to see if we have any additional information on the shooting that took place. Very little information is coming out of Idaho at the moment with this, which raises questions, right? Raises questions of what's taking place with that in Idaho.
Ms. Blunt Rochester. Mr. Booker. Mr. Bozeman.
So currently trying to
Mrs. Britt.
look it up and see here. Okay.
Mr. Budd. Ms. Cantwell.
This is what I have so far.
Mrs. Capito. Mr. Cassidy. Ms. Collins. Mr. Coons. Mr. Cornyn. Ms. Cortez Masto. Mr. Cotton. Mr. Kramer. Mr. Crapo.
This is some of the information I'm having right now.
Mr. Cruz.
I'm going to go ahead and mute this for a
Mr.
moment.
Curtis. Mr. Dean.
All they're doing is voting on this thing. I'm going to mute this for a second and just kind of read you guys some of the stuff I'm seeing here. Idaho sniper. There are conflicting reports about the identity of the suspect in the attack on the firemen and fire responders. There seems to be agreement. He is a 20-year-old man named Wes Rowley. There are reports that he might be from Russia, initially reported as USSR, that he lived in New York and most recently Florida. There are conflicting reports that he is from Phoenix and his family is MAGA. I've updated my post, he says, to reflect the conflicting reports. There are a bunch of pictures circulating that purport to be Rowley. I am sharing them here, he says. Rowley, armed with a rifle, started a wildfire and then began shooting at first responders in northern Idaho mountain community, killing 2 firefighters and wounding a third during a barrage of gunfire over several hours, authorities said. Again, I'm declaring confidence level of fog of war, meaning it's almost impossible to know what the truth is. So instead of reporting the truth, I'm reporting what is being reported. Please take all this with a grain of salt. So that's some of the information right now that we have about that shooting in Idaho, which was planned. It looked like it was planned by starting a brush fire and then opening fire on the responding firefighters and firefighter support heading into that area. So we'll continue to try to keep you updated with what's going on with the Idaho sniper, because this is a story that is 2 or 3 things may happen with it, right? If it doesn't fit the narrative that the Democrats want or the mainstream media wants it to fit, it's going to be buried. It's going to be buried and it's not going to be put out there. But if they're able to craft this message, two different ways they can create this, craft this message if they're able to. Either he's MAGA and he was inspired by Trump in order to, whatever, they'll run with that story, or if it's beneficial in order to help start a conflict with Iran. And so, I understand, Sherry. I know no MAGA would do such a thing, but that's what these are the 2 options, 3 options the mainstream media may go, what direction they may go on, determining the evidence that is being turned up or even preliminary evidence that's being shown. Many times, I know whenever there's a mass shooting, the mainstream media jumps on and says, "Oh, it's a Republican," or he's a Republican supporter or Trump supporter or something, to try to muddy the waters of public perception of what took place. And so, again, we don't know much right now. So there's a lot of things we do not know. However, there are going to be things that is coming in on this. So we will see who Wes Rowley was and his connections. And we're going to see how this plays out over the next 48 hours. So don't know much else about him outside of that. That is all the info we currently have on that shooter. He was 20 years old. No other info is being provided. People are asking why there's so much secrecy right now around that. So I'm going to go ahead and unmute this now. There we go. Okay.
Mr. Merkley, Mrs. Moody, Mr. Moran, Mr. Marino, Mr. Mullen, Ms. Murkowski. Ms. Murkowski, Mr. Murphy, Mrs. Murray, Mr. Ossoff, Mr. Padilla, Mr. Paul, Mr. Peters, Mr. Reed, Mr. Ricketts, Mr. Risch, Ms. Rosen, Mr. Rounds, Mr. Sanders, Mr. Schatz, Mr. Schiff, Mr. Schmidt, Mr. Schumer, Mr. Scott of Florida, Mr. Scott of South Carolina, Mrs. Shaheen, Mr. Sheehy, Ms. Slotkin, Ms. Smith.
So if you live in Florida,
Mr. Sullivan, Mr. Thune, Mr. Tillis, Mr. Tuberville, Mr. Van Hollen, Mr. Warner, Mr. Warnock, Ms. Warren, Mr. Welch, Mr. Whitehouse, Mr. Wicker, Mr. Wyden, Mr. Young.
if you're a Florida resident, this just in, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis announced a Second Amendment tax holiday for this year, September 8th through December 31st, tax-free. Firearms.
Senators voting in the affirmative.
Ammunition.
Also Brooks, Bennett, Blumenthal, Blunt Rochester, Cantwell, Coons, Cortez Masto, Durbin, Fetterman, Gallego, Hickenlooper, Hirono, Kane, Kelly, Kim, King, Klobuchar, Lujan, Merkley, Murkowski, Murphy, Murray, Ossoff, Peters, Reed, Rosen, Schiff, Schumer, Shaheen, Slotkin, Smith, Van Hollen, Warner, Warnock, Warren, Welch, Whitehouse, and Wyden. Senators voting in the negative: Banks, Bozeman, Britt, Budd, Cotton, Crapo, Cruz, Curtis, Ernst, Graham, Haggerty, Hawley, Husted, Johnson, Kennedy, Lee, Lummis, Marshall, McConnell, Moody, Moran, Paul, Ricketts, Risch, Rounds, Scott of South Carolina, Sullivan, Thune, Tillis, and Tuberville. Ms. Baldwin, aye.
Yeah, so we're waiting for the results of this next vote that they're currently doing. They're currently debating the big, beautiful bill there in the Senate. Democrats are using every tactic they can utilize in order to slow down the big, beautiful bill. There's been some individuals who said that this will probably pass right before July 4th. Hey, there's Bernie.
Mr. Sanders, aye.
Oh, Bernie Sanders. He still registers himself as an independent, not a Democrat.
Mr. Barrasso, no. Ms. Hassan, aye.
They're so terrible, these people. Yeah, Jason, it's not for the actual bill. They're working ways and trying to figure out.
Mr. McCormick, no.
They're voting on different measures within the bill right now. Again, just trying to slow this bill from being voted on. So Democrats are employing different tactics to slow it down. And this is why we're in the second day of Senate debating this bill at the
Mr.
moment.
Sheehy, Mr. Sheehy, no. Mrs. Blackburn, no.
Chick was laughing. I wonder what she was laughing about. Somebody tell her a joke.
Mr. Cassidy, no. Mrs. Hyde Smith, no.
So,
Ms. Duckworth, aye. Mr. Daines, no. Mr. Heinrich, aye. Mr. Padilla, aye.
yeah, they're voting along party lines right now with all this stuff. Again, it's just a measure to slow the progress of the bill. They're supposed to be voting on the bill, but Democrats are.
Mr. Schmidt, no. I'm just gonna put this one in here. And I can help get the second one ready, just kind of depends on where we are. That's why I can't put this in there, because
She forgot to turn her microphone off.
it's their thing. Oh, whoops.
You never know what you might hear in these hearings or these House floor things. Senate floor, I guess, say inside the Senate chamber, where they're
Mr. Markey, aye.
working to debate this bill. And again, Democrats using every measure available to them in order to try to slow this thing down. That is their goal, and can, again, just to get some more propaganda out there and utilize their little stump speeches that they've been giving.
Mr. Langford, no. Mr. Marino, no. Mrs. Fisher, no.
So as we're waiting on that to continue, just kind of taking a look again, scrolling through the vastness of social media to see what else we have going on here.
Ms. Collins, no.
I have no idea why that lady's laughing.
Mr. Cornyn, no.
Let's see here.
Mrs. Gillibrand, aye.
Yep. So they let's see here. Kind of waiting for this to go through. We'll see what they do after this, and then we may break for lunch because I'll need to.
Mr. Kramer, no. Mr. Schatz, aye.
And if something comes up, we'll go ahead and take it covered on it in the meantime. So I think we'll go ahead and break for lunch right now. I've been at it for all morning, so I'm a little hungry myself. So we may go ahead and break after this.
Mr. Scott of Florida, no. Mr. Hoven, no.
What I can do, instead of breaking the stream, I might just go ahead and just kill my camera so I can grab a quick bite to eat down the hallway here and then be back after I scarf down some food because I am hungry. I don't want to eat on camera. That'll gross you guys out. Dad, I got to take my co-hosts that are all sitting over here and give them a restroom break. So they're all sleeping. They're sleeping right now. There, my voice comforts them. I think they sleep as I'm talking over here, and so they kind of enjoy it. I have this nice little couch over here that they get to sit on. I'm working on getting another camera so you guys can see my co-hosts from time to time on the live stream because they are some cute guys over here. So, but let's go ahead and break for lunch. I'm going to grab a bite to eat. I'm going to let this keep rolling for a little bit and monitor it on my phone. And I'll be back in about 15, 20 minutes. Let me eat something real quick, and I'll be back to carry on. So here we go. At the stage, I meant to. Okay, there we go. All right, be back.
Mr. Young, Mr. Young, no. Mr. Justice, no. Mr. Booker, aye. Mr. Wicker, no. Mr. Crapo, Mr. Grassley, no. Mrs. Capito, Mrs. Capito, no. Mr. Mullen, no.
On this motion, the yeas are 48, the nays are 52. The motion is not agreed to.
Mr. President.
I recognize the majority whip.
Mr. President, I ask unanimous consent that to be in order for the following senators to be recognized to offer amendments, motions, or points of order, that the amendments be reported by number with no amendments in order prior to a vote in relation to the amendments on the motion or motions. Number 1, Lujan, motion to commit. Number 2, Reed, motion to commit.
Without objection.
Yield the floor.
I recognize the senator from New Mexico.
I have a motion to commit at the desk.
The clerk will report.
Senator from New Mexico, Mr. Lujan, moves to commit the bill HR 1 to the Committee on Finance with instructions to report back forthwith.
Mr. President, recently a Republican colleague said regarding this bill's SNAP cuts, quote, "If we don't watch out, people are going to get hurt." He's right. People are going to get hurt. For the past 50 years, the United States of America has maintained a bipartisan promise to feed our children, our veterans, our seniors, and our working families. This bill betrays that promise. It cuts more than $1 trillion from Medicaid, SNAP, cuts that will harm all of our constituents. With this motion, I'm offering my colleagues the opportunity to step away from these devastating cuts, to show our fellow Americans that in this country, we care for our friends, family, and neighbors who need support. I hope my colleagues on both sides of the aisle can agree that this is a promise worth keeping. I yield back.
Mr. President.
I recognize the senator from Arkansas.
Thank you, Mr. President. I rise in opposition to the motion raised by my colleague from New Mexico. The agriculture title of this bill takes a practical approach to improve SNAP by reducing waste, enhancing accountability, and encouraging recipients to move towards self-reliance through work and training. SNAP spending has nearly doubled since 2018, putting this vital program on an unsustainable path wrought with mismanagement and waste. This program has devolved into viewing success as enrolling more individuals to be dependent on government assistance. SNAP is long overdue for change. This motion would jeopardize the ability for the Senate to meet its reconciliation instructions and deliver the president's agenda to the American people. I urge my colleagues to vote no.
Is there a sufficient second? There appears to be. The clerk will call the roll.
Ms. Alsobrooks, Ms. Baldwin. Mr. Banks, Mr. Barrasso, Mr. Bennett, Mrs. Blackburn, Mr. Blumenthal, Ms. Blunt Rochester, Mr. Booker, Mr. Booker, Mr. Bozeman, Mrs. Britt, Mr. Budd, Ms. Cantwell, Mrs. Capito, Mr. Cassidy, Ms. Collins, Mr. Coons, Mr. Cornyn, Ms. Cortez Masto. Mr. Cotton, Mr. Kramer, Mr. Crapo, Mr. Cruz, Mr. Curtis, Mr. Daines, Ms. Duckworth, Mr. Durbin, Ms. Ernst, Mr. Fetterman, Mrs. Fisher, Mr. Gallego, Mrs. Gillibrand, Mr. Graham, Mr. Grassley, Mr. Haggerty, Ms. Hassan, Mr. Hawley, Mr. Heinrich, Mr. Hickenlooper, Ms. Hirono, Mr. Hovind, Mr. Husted, Mrs. Hyde-Smith, Mr. Johnson, Mr. Justice, Mr. Kane, Mr. Kelly, Mr. Kennedy, Mr. Kim, Mr. King, Ms. Klobuchar, Mr. Langford, Mr. Lee, Mr. Lujan, Ms. Lummis, Mr. Markey, Mr. Marshall, Mr. McConnell, Mr. McCormick, Mr. Merkley, Mrs. Moody, Mr. Moran, Mr. Marino, Mr. Mullen, Ms. Murkowski, Mr. Murphy, Mr. Murphy, Mrs. Murray, Mr. Ossoff, Mr. Padilla, Mr. Paul, Mr. Peters, Mr. Reed, Mr. Ricketts, Mr. Risch. Ms. Rosen, Mr. Rounds, Mr. Sanders, Mr. Schatz, Mr. Schiff, Mr. Schmidt, Mr. Schumer, Mr. Scott of Florida, Mr. Scott of South Carolina, Mrs. Shaheen, Mr. Sheehy, Ms. Slotkin, Ms. Smith, Mr. Sullivan. Mr. Sullivan, Mr. Thune, Mr. Tillis, Mr. Tuberville, Mr. Van Hollen, Mr. Warner, Mr. Warnock, Ms. Warren, Mr. Welch, Mr. Whitehouse, Mr. Wicker, Mr. Wyden, Mr. Young. Senators voting in the affirmative: Alsobrooks, Baldwin, Bennett, Blumenthal, Blunt Rochester, Booker, Cantwell, Coons, Durbin, Fetterman, Gallego, Hassan, Hirono, Kelly, Kim, Klobuchar, Lujan, Merkley, Murphy, Murray, Padilla, Peters, Reed, Rosen, Sanders, Schatz, Schiff, Schumer, Shaheen, Slotkin, Smith, Van Hollen, Warner, Warnock, Welch, Whitehouse, and Wyden. Senators voting in the negative: Banks, Barrasso, Blackburn, Britt, Capito, Collins, Cornyn, Cotton, Kramer, Crapo, Cruz, Curtis, Daines, Ernst, Fisher, Graham, Grassley, Haggerty, Hawley, Hoven, Husted, Hyde-Smith, Johnson, Kennedy, Langford, Marshall, McConnell, McCormick, Moody, Moran, Marino, Mullen, Paul, Ricketts, Rounds, Schmidt, Scott of Florida, Sheehy, Tillis, and Wicker. Mr. Heinrich, Mr. Heinrich, aye. Mr. King, Mr. King, aye. Mr. Cassidy, Mr. Cassidy, no. Mr. Tuberville, no. Mr. Kane, aye. Mr. Ossoff, aye. Mr. Bozeman, no. Mr. Budd, no. Mr. Scott. Mr. Scott of South Carolina, no. Ms. Duckworth. Ms. Duckworth, aye. Mr. Lee. Mr. Lee, no. Mr. Justice. Mr. Justice, no. Mr. Markey. Mr. Markey, aye. Mr. Rish. Mr. Rish, no. Ms. Murkowski. Ms. Murkowski, aye. Mr. Young. Mr. Young, no. Ms. Warren. Ms. Warren, aye. Ms. Cortez Masto. Ms. Cortez Masto, aye. Mr. Hickenlooper. Mr. Hickenlooper, aye. Mrs. Gillibrand. Mrs. Gillibrand, aye. Mr. Thune. Mr. Thune, no. Ms. Lummis. Ms. Lummis? No. Mr. Sullivan? Mr. Sullivan, aye.
On this vote, the yeas are 49, the nays are 51, and the motion is not agreed to.
Madam President,
The senator from Rhode Island.
Madam President, I have a motion to commit at the desk.
The clerk will report.
Senator from Rhode Island, Mr. Reed, moves to commit the bill HR 1 to the Committee on.
I ask that further reading of the motion be dispensed with.
Without objection.
Madam President, Medicaid is a lifeline for seniors. More than 7 million seniors get care through Medicaid. And 2 in 3 nursing homes residents pay for that care with Medicaid. The bill we are voting today takes away key revenue sources for states and nursing homes. Brown University School of Public Health has estimated that 579 nursing homes nationwide would be at risk of closing because of this bill. And even if nursing homes do not close, then they will have to reduce their beds. This motion would simply prevent any cuts in Medicaid that could lead to nursing home closures, something I believe we all can agree upon. And I would urge my colleagues to support this motion.
Idaho.
Madam President, Republicans are restoring integrity to the Medicaid program by closing loopholes and preventing states from exploiting Medicaid federal match rates. States' provider taxes for nursing homes and immediate care facilities are not phased down under this bill. Additionally, the bill repeals the harmful Biden administration's nursing home staffing rule that would have forced the closure of nursing homes and long-term care facilities. I urge my colleagues to vote against this amendment.
Madam President, I ask
Senator
the
from Rhode
yeas and
Island.
nays.
Is there a sufficient second? There appears to be. The clerk will call the roll.
Ms. Alsobrooks, Ms. Baldwin, Mr. Banks, Mr. Barrasso, Mr. Bennett, Mrs. Blackburn, Mr. Blumenthal, Ms. Blunt Rochester, Mr. Booker, Mr. Bozeman, Mrs. Britt.
No.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Mr. Budd. Ms. Cantwell.